Kiana Sage here from Being in Sync 366 video series, where there is a video for every day of the year. Unfortunately, I have not been on here every day this year, but that does not mean there's not enough videos to fulfill the Being in Sync 366 video series. So, today's discussion is about open discussion, about having open discussions. And this has been a theme that has come up for many people, so I thought I would discuss it here. So, my name is Kiana Sage. Hello! And I guide people to peace through this process called energy psychology. It's the alignment of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. And I do that through this process of unwinding programs, conditioning, energies that are heavy and dense, that slow the energy. Who is here? Hello, hello. Jono, hi, good to see you. I almost had to get my glasses. Hi, Mick, good to see you. Oh, love to see you guys. Thank you for being here. Hi, Eric, thinking about you. Oh, thank you. Thinking about you too, hoping your surgery went well. Appreciate you all being here. Hi, Oliver. All right, the crew is here. Today, we are talking about open discussions. And open discussions, really, I want to ask a question because I think this is a theme. It's been a theme for me, and I think it's a theme for other people as well. So really having those taboo discussions and what keeps us from having them. So Eric, how are you doing, Eric? How are you feeling? Mick was sick. Eric had surgery. Hi, Ann. Is that? Just trying to see the names here. I can't see them all. Good to see you all. We'll wait about 5 minutes before we get into this discussion about open. Hey, Sleek Hobbies, good to see you. Ohio's in the house. Love it. Love it. So what is a good question about open discussion? Like, I think there are reasons why people don't have them. I was thinking mostly because people are emotionally charged. Thank you. Jono. Yes, everybody's hoping Eric is healing. Thank you for being here. If you spam the chat, you'll just be deleted, y'all. It's okay. We're all here to learn and grow. And this entire video series is dedicated to creating practices that we can implement to be our own healer, to make change in our life that is in alignment with the natural laws. The natural laws are always going to tie us back to God, source energy, creator. It's the energy that propels everything. So even though you may not be consciously aware of these principles, they dictate how energy runs, and all energy runs in patterns. So I'm trying to think of what's a question about open discussions. What is, let me see, I'm gonna ask a question here. Hold on, I'm gonna start a poll. It says start a Q&A. Ooh, that's a new option, I haven't seen that. Let me see how this works. This is a new option here. I just updated the app, so let's see what this says. What keeps you from having open, honest discussions? Let's see how this works. I've never tried this one, you guys. Let's see how this works. Start a Q&A. So let's see how this works. Oh, I see. It goes right in the middle of my face. I'll go here. I don't know if I like that. It's new. I just updated the app, so we'll see how this works. What keeps you from having open, honest discussions? Jonathan is asking, do I remember my dreams? I remember some of them, not all of them, but not all of them are important. I think what's important about our dreams is that everything in our dreams is symbolic. So if you're looking at understanding hey Shane, good to see you. I love seeing your flower here. And you. Thank you so much. So appreciate you being here. Amadeus, are you biblically based scripture? Absolutely not. I don't follow any religious dogma. I follow the natural laws. That is how energy runs. And that, although that runs in Christ consciousness and unity consciousness and God consciousness, it is not always what people think it is, as the Bible says. It is not man-made, it is God-made. That is what I follow. Ayush, good vibes from here. Stay blessed. Thank you. Thank you. Sending you love back. Okay, going back to the dreams. Dreams are always going to be symbolic. And so when you're researching your dreams, keep that in mind. There's always going to be symbols and metaphors, and that's why it's good to discuss it with others and maybe get an idea. But when you're researching, you might want to look at the symbolic meaning of. Now, some of us have strong energies in our life, and they show up as constitutions of animals. So animal spirits, if you will. So if you see a lot of a particular let's just say snakes, because I'm familiar with somebody who has a lot of dreams about snakes and they don't like snakes. But snakes represent they will be representative of people in your life that are snake-like, and they take on that constitution. Parth, are you from the UK or USA? I am from USA. I live in California. Okay. The subject matter is about open discussions. We're over at 5 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and start talking now. Okay. So, and then I'll come back and I'll start with Jonah, what his question is here. I don't know. Can you guys see me, or is this question right in the middle of my face? I don't think I can move it. Drag here for Q&A. Huh. I don't know. Can you see? Is the question in the middle of the screen? Oh, there. I could get it to go a little bit to there. Okay, so I'll just scooch. Okay, y'all. So today I wanted to talk about open discussions, and really these discussions that most people have in their heads about other people. And I think what keeps people from having open, honest discussions where they can grow and expand and learn and have some understanding and compassion is often, there's often a level of fear that most people do not want to admit that is there. So it's important. Okay, it's moved. Okay, thanks, Jono. I appreciate you letting me know. Okay, I don't know if I can move it more. Oh, I don't think so. Okay. So when you're having open discussions, oftentimes I really want to emphasize it's important that you acknowledge fear. If you have fear, if you're unwilling to acknowledge that you have fear, the fear will continue to derail you. So fears are opportunities for you to have greater awareness. But what I've noticed is a lot of people, they like to come up with, well, I'm not really afraid, or it's not a fear, Kiana, or It's more like, and people get stuck over the word fear. That is a denial of an element of awareness that needs to be explored, and it can only be really explored by you. Now, acknowledge that you might have some fears, and what are those fears, and get real with them, because the fear that you have is your fear. It doesn't have anything to do with the other person. Now, once you've done that, and then let's just say maybe one of your concerns or your fears, let me see if I can move that slightly. I don't want to see the hallway. If I go back. Maybe if one of your fears is that the other person will react, will respond, will scream, will be unhappy, will be sad, this is what I want you to remember. You are not responsible for the feelings of other people, especially, pretty much ever, but always when you're speaking from your heart. So, you are never responsible for the feelings of other people. They are responsible for owning their feelings, acknowledging their feelings, and processing their feelings. Now, that does not keep people from blaming or victimizing or gaslighting. They're going to do what they're going to do. But an open discussion will always start with a person who is able to be in their heart and hold compassion and witness. I find a lot in my work, even as a facilitator when I do team development work, a lot of the facilitation is just about listening. And even though I think I'm a good listener, and I think I'm really, I pay attention to the nuances of other people, I could still be better. And so it's about really stretching ourselves to be present for open-hearted discussion. And when you are present in your heart, what happens is that you become more aware of people who are maybe speaking from their ego or speaking from fear or blaming. And that's simply your awarenesses. That does not mean that it's their fault, or it just means that you have greater awareness. Now, your awareness is always going to be a powerful place to be. As you can hear, my voice is still a little raspy. So, don't allow that to dictate you being the one who's able to be present in your heart for a discussion that is needed, meaningful. So for example, this last year, I've had a friend that I've known for, since I was a little girl. I think I was like 12 years old where I met one of my good friends. And this last year, she had done some things that I just didn't bring up in discussion because the time didn't seem right. And it turns out, you know what, that was just an excuse. There was never a good time. And so I just said what I felt needed to be said, honestly from my heart, and it was received with grace and appreciation. And from there, we also we came up with an agreement that we wouldn't withhold those types of discussions from each other anymore for any reason. So, Kiana, I feel like crossing the street or the parking lot, I fell what, Eric? Oh no. I am so sorry, Eric. That is horrible. Horrible. Are you okay? I'm sorry, I got distracted, y'all, with Eric. That's much more important. That's an important discussion to have, Eric. Are you okay? Thank you, Nicholas. So, oftentimes, it is important to remember that You're having the discussion because you have something that's in your heart that needs to be spoken. That's when you know a discussion is worthy of being had. Number two, you have a repeating pattern of something that has caused you to distance yourself, let's say, from the other person. Well, that is a protection mode because you haven't been willing to have the discussion. So be aware of that. For me, the conversation really wasn't about fear. It was about having respect. And I really wanted to have a respectful conversation in person. And it just turns out that wasn't possible at this time. So I did it through what's called Marco Polo. And if you're on Marco Polo, you know it's just a video chat. And, but it's important that you honor your heart. And if your relationships are important to you, which, you know, if you're in my life, you're important to me, then I'm going to have honest conversations. And I certainly want to grow and I want to evolve. And that requires having honest conversations from the heart with people that you care about. Now, not everybody wants to have those, and that's okay too. But if it means that the relationship will grow because you're being open and honest, then it needs to be done. I'm going to mess up this name. Valibi says, one advice for 2025. And my one piece of advice is follow your heart. Follow your heart, follow your heart, follow your heart. Okay, Jono is saying, lack of communication blocks open discussion. Yes, avoiding tough talks as a defense mechanism. So let's talk about this for a moment because that's a really valid situation. There are people who prefer not to have these talks, Jono, and that's okay. They are allowed to have their avoidance techniques and strategies. But the question then becomes, is that something that you value? Is that relationship something that you value? And if so, if open and honest discussion is something that you value, then you're going to have to negotiate with that person. It's not one person makes the rules for the relationship. No, every relationship is a negotiation. And what you will find is when you are shutting down yourself to accommodate others, you lose part of who you are. And therefore, you're not able to have authentic discussions. And if you can't be authentic in a relationship that you want, that's important to you, what's the point of that relationship? What is that relationship serving? Are you keeping them around just because you know them for a long time? Or does that somehow feed your lack of authenticity? You know, a lot of people keep people in their lives because, well, I've known them my whole life. You know, it's my mom or it's my dad, and that's just how they are. And they don't have meaningful discussions, or they don't want to talk heart to heart. Okay, well, where's the growth in that relationship? All relationships need to grow and expand for if you're growing and expanding. And so maybe the relationship shifts and changes, and you could go into agreement with that. What's a tough talk? You know, I think tough talks are when you're opening your heart, you know, but really, what is a tough talk? When you have to challenge somebody on their behavior and say, hey, your behavior isn't really something that I want to keep in this relationship, and then you start to negotiate that pattern and changing that pattern. And what if they don't want to change the pattern? Then you are seeing that this relationship is one-sided, potentially. And then you get a conscious choice in that, right? But defense mechanisms, we did a whole video on defense mechanisms. And, you know, we all have them, but are we all aware of them? So how might their defense mechanism might be serving a defense mechanism of yours? And you then are feeding each other or balancing each other out and keeping each other in its limiting perspective. Something to consider. Andre says he's a snake sign. Okay, there we go. Jono, dishonest and lying to the other, or being dishonest. Well, honesty is oftentimes, and I've come across this a lot with clients who think they're one way, but they're really another. So really look at sometimes what you are seeing and perceiving, the other person may not have any awareness of that, or they may not be conscious that it's impacting the relationship. And sometimes when you're opening that discussion, that's a new awareness. And so you want to be patient and compassionate with them having new awarenesses of how their avoidance behavior is impacting you. Ahmed is saying, hello, I think being shy and sometimes uncomfortable and fear is the true obstacle from having true discussion. Obstacle, I think you're saying. You said optical, but I think you might mean obstacle? I'm not sure. From having true discussions. And it also depends on the relationship between the two people. Yes, Ahmed. Being shy is often, believe it or not, I'm shy. I know you all won't believe it, but when I'm in a group of people, I'm quiet. More often than not, I love to observe. It's okay to be shy. What's not the most optimal for growth is not being in alignment with your heart. So when you're shy and you have awarenesses that something is bothering you in a relationship, you'll want to have a discussion about that, whether it's something at work, with a coworker, or with a boss, or a family member. Not talking is usually going to constrict the relationship. And so you might want to ask, is that what you want to do? Mick is saying, Kiana, the Gospels of Mark and John and Luke and Paul, where Jesus, when he healed the sick and brought back the dead, and all had horrible deaths because they would not renounce. I'm not sure what you're saying there, Mick. I'm not much of a Bible person. I think I've said that before. I'm not a fan of the stories. I think that they could have a place in an open discussion where people are open and honest, but the stories in and of themselves, for me, they don't really hit. They don't really resonate. Although I know a lot of people like them, I'm just not one of that. Junk Account says, I'm afraid of attractive women. Well, that's unfortunate. Unfortunate for them that they might be not able to get to know you because you're in fear. You could be just what they need to open themselves up. Me and my parents often get into arguments during open conversation. Ash, try this. Being in your heart during those conversations. Make sure that you are the one that's in your heart. Most people are having conversations from their mind, from their thinking, from their ideas and their ego, and therefore those conversations then get perceived as arguments, and there's no accepting of a difference of perception, of opinion, of ways of being. And really, what good is a conversation if you can't learn how other people are perceiving? Do you need them to agree? Like, I know my brother was one of those people growing up, like if he really believed, well, this is more in my 20s, he really believed that if you didn't believe how he believed, then you can't talk to him. Like, there's no reason to have a conversation. That's what I call a closed system. And Ash, what you're talking about is closed systems. So arguments aren't really about agreement. They're about discovery. They're about being curious, being present in your heart will help change arguments. Try it. Jono is saying fear is a great answer. Fear is of consequences, for example. Fear of hurt. Well, you know, I think shutting down the heart is what hurts most humans. Most people are suffering with anxiety, depression, paranoia, fear, because they've shut down their heart. If the vast majority, if everybody that watches this video would have conversations from their heart and take full responsibility, this is the key, take full responsibility for their perceptions and their experience, then there's really nothing to argue about. You know, if somebody hurts your feelings, those are your feelings. Those are your responsibility. Then you want to tend to that. You don't want to blame them or cut them off because they hurt your feelings. Like, your feelings need to be resolved by you. Thank you, Nicholas. Very sweet. Oh, Eric, I'm so sorry. Hi, Lola. Hi, Kathy. Eric, you have panic and fear. Well, surgery will cause that. So for those of you who have had some kind of medical intervention, that will propel more fears for sure. The medications from anesthesia and that type of thing, at least my experience is that it takes a while for that to wear off. Eric, what I would suggest, and anybody in here, I would suggest really doing conscious breathing. Conscious breathing will help diminish the fears. It will bring you back to your heart. So the one that I recommend on here is 2 breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Even when I was sick, I was doing that breathing. I was doing I did that for hours during when I had a fever. Our breath is our power to bring conscious awareness to everything. And I would feel the pain in my body and I would just bring my attention and my conscious breath to that space. Consciousness and consciously breathing will help you mitigate fears. Fears are false. They're false ideas, false beliefs, false programs, false conditioning, and it's our responsibility as we access higher levels of consciousness to really dismantle those false ways. And Eric, having fear of cars sounds legitimate after you've gotten run over, and really people are just not paying attention. And I'm so sorry that that happened. And I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I wish I had something else to say, but I'll definitely pray for you, Eric. Thank you, Vishal. Mick is saying, I think when it comes from your heart, you could receive it because it's true and honest. What I have noticed, Mick, whether it's professional or personal relationships, when people are willing to be in their truth, their own unique truth, in their heart, the message is received significantly better. Now, let's be honest. There's a lot of people in our world that are mentally unstable and ill-equipped to handle difficult, honest conversations. So this is like not to exclude them, but to have an awareness that the only responsibility in the conversation that you have is for your end. So whether they receive it or not is not your problem. What needs to be done is you speaking from your heart, your truth, your honesty, and that is your truth frequency. And we all perceive the truth frequency from our point of expression. And let things go where they will be. Let go of the results and what you think the outcome should be. Because in any relationship, there's no real knowing what the outcome's going to be. right? You open your heart for an open discussion, even professionally. I have seen executives that absolutely had disdain for each other completely change their relationships because they have had open heart-to-heart conversations. And that's where you could get and dissolve the anger, the misunderstandings, the discord, because all of that is in the head. I'm just going to shut this question here because let me see. Okay. So let's see. There's usually isn't a right time for most difficult conversations, emotional, honest, or okay. I think that the right time is as close to the moment or the trigger as you could possibly manage. I think people who wait to have important discussions, months and months or weeks and weeks, people have moved on. They don't even remember. I honestly know when my husband brings up certain things, I have no memory of what he's talking about. So it's really difficult for me to connect and really get true understanding. So to the best of your ability, absolutely have the conversation as close to the time where it's happening, not after you processed it for 6 months. That's just ridiculous. And let's be honest, you're not processing for 6 months. You're ruminating and thinking, and that's not processing. That's thinking. That's like getting more entangled into your thoughts, which does what? Your thoughts will disconnect you from your heart. So, Jono, I agree. There's not a right time. I'm totally on board with that. The right time is the time where it's emotional, where you're feeling something, and that's when you can have a real discovery. And Mick, I agree with you as well. When it comes from your heart, people receive the harshest messages more easily. And it's, again, let go of the results. You don't have to agree. It's okay to agree to disagree. It's okay to have a different opinion, at least with me. Maybe with some of the people that you're having discussions with, that maybe is not okay. Maybe you ask them, hey, what do you think about people who have agree to disagree? Do you think that that's possible? Somebody's asking if I'm a therapist. No, I am not. You can see in the description, I am not a therapist or a psychologist or a doctor. I am here and I talk about energy psychology in alignment with the natural laws. Hello, Kitty Heart. Cute. Hi, much love from St. Jude's. You also have great advice. I would donate, but you don't have enough. I don't have the donate thing on because that's not why I'm here. Maybe next year, I don't know. But right now, this is just about connecting with people who want to grow and evolve and discuss. It's not about likes, although likes are helpful for the algorithms. We're just here about having real conversations. Hello, Kitty. MD is saying, hi, sweetheart. Good to hear you. Thank you. Good to see you. I am doing better. My voice is still a little rough. Ali is saying, why do we have to wait for the right time to have open discussion when we know it's important for them to know the reality, but sometimes we either shelf them or brush them under the rug? Ali, I think that's a really valid question, and I think a lot of people will have a different answer for this. But I think a lot of people have different reasons for waiting. But I think it's important to know the thresholds of relationships. Like for me, with my friend that I've known for so long, I really wanted to have respect for the relationship and do it in person. But the truth of the matter is that wasn't working. And so I ended up waiting to have this important discussion. And then it just had gone on too long and it didn't make sense to them as it made sense to me. And we had different memories of the same situation. And, In the end, what was more important about the discussion is that I was honest and I spoke from my heart, and that we both agreed that we didn't want to do that to our relationship. That in the end, the agreement was that we valued each other and our friendship more than holding on to something. So if we have something to say, we wanted to be respectful enough to share it with one another. And that's what we agreed to. Now, every relationship has its different stages of development. Like I have a new friend that's come into my life in the last year. And, I'm still getting to know them and understand our ways and how we communicate. And we have different cultures, different ways in that we were raised, but there's a mutual regard and respect that we both want to have honest, meaningful discussions. And so therefore, we talk about things that I would normally not talk about with somebody that I've known for such a short period of time. It's interesting, So I don't know, Ali, but what I would ask is for me, I want to be in my heart 100% of the time, and I want to speak from my heart 100% of the time. Does that happen all the time? The vast majority of the time, yes, it does. But there's times and moments where I get into my head as well, and I catch myself and I try to reel it back. But I want to honor my heart, so I make a conscious effort to speak from my heart with everybody that I come in contact with. Jono says, there's so much love that I'm willing to overlook the lack of open communication sometimes. I'd like to see or negotiate more heart-to-hearts in the future. Why don't you have that conversation with them, Jono? What a worthy conversation. And maybe that's something they want to grow into. Most people who are constricted or lack open heart communication really don't have a lot of people in their lives that they could do that with. So maybe with you saying that you would like to develop that more in the relationship, that's something you could do. Hi, Zoya. So good to see you here. Hey, Christian. Jonas, good to see you. Becky's saying, there's a strange feeling between me and the person. Well, what is that strange feeling? Is that strange feeling, Becky, is that constriction? Is that lack of honesty? What is that? MD is saying, I'm always honest, but that's also a problem. MD, I understand that. We need to understand the situation all around. Well, we can't understand the situation if we don't have communication, because somebody else is going to have a different perspective that might enlighten you as to why they've been behaving or acting or thinking the way they were, of which you have no idea about. Could be something that happened in their family. It could be the way that they were raised. It could be a trauma that they experienced that has caused them to not be open and honest. We don't know why people are shut down. But when we are in our hearts and we invite them in, often people will come. They might come slowly, but they will come. Theratrix is saying, lack of confidence that I would be okay. What does that mean? That if you're not in your heart, you won't be okay? Like, that seems like a little bit of fear there. Maggie's getting banned. I don't know what to say about that. You shouldn't say things, well, you'll be banned. It's not appropriate. Jono is saying, I recently felt my heart shut down after opening up. I sort of flooded my engine, but with my heart chakra, I let it get out of control and panicked. Thank you for sharing that, Jono. I'm sorry that you shut down, but that's a good awareness for you to have. So you flooded your engine. Consciously breathing when you notice that you're getting excitable would probably help, Jono. I mean, it's just so easy to breathe. And also what I notice is when you're really emotional, it's okay to just say, this is really emotional for me, and to speak to your emotions. I feel sad, I feel happy, I feel confused, I'm not really sure. Something is causing me to feel anxious. I'm wondering how you're receiving what I'm saying, and just simply ask. Marjorie's saying, I don't like to talk gossip either. Me either. My sis doesn't want to talk about COVID, the jab, immune problems, natural health, or new cancer prognosis for my sister. My mom and father-in-law, we rarely speak. Yeah, it sounds like Marjorie, I mean, a lot of people don't want to talk about any of those things. And maybe those aren't for you to talk to with them. And maybe you can just ask, are you willing to talk about this topic with me before you go in? A lot of people don't like talking about those things. And why? Why don't people like to talk about those things? Because there's a lot of lies around all of those things that you just listed there. And and the lies kind of come unraveled when people start having emotional conversations or honest conversations. And the lies are usually always tied to a belief system. So Marjorie, what you're wanting to talk about is beliefs. What do they believe? And those beliefs, a lot of people don't really know that they don't know what they believe. A lot of people are unaware of their belief systems that are dictating their conversations. So it's okay to not have those, important conversations with everybody. Maybe you could just ask your sister, is it okay for us to talk about this? I'm feeling scared about this cancer prognosis for our sister. Can we talk about that? And see if there's an opening, because sometimes it just might be somebody being honest about what that means for them. And, every single one of those things that you've mentioned there, Marjorie, those are huge topics that really trigger unconscious fears in a lot of people. So it's not maybe about you bringing them up, but really about how those topics are brought to the surface, because they are important topics that can be really a heart opening for everybody in the family. And maybe it's just the way that the conversation is happening. And I will say, when people are very emotional, they misunderstand, like when we send them information or reels to help educate them. A lot of times we're sending them with good intentions and they're misinterpreted. So get ahead of that. You're welcome, Eric. You're welcome. I'm going to put your name on my in my prayers for sure. Mick is saying, you have so much wisdom, Kiana, but you're a good person, which is one more important. I respect. Thank you. Thank you, Mick. Very kind. Yes, Frederick, I'm married. Jono says, if you tap hearts on your screen as well as a like, good for the algorithm. Oh, okay. I did not know that. Thank you. I know nothing about the algorithms other than the likes help. But I'm at 2,600. And when I started this year, I was at like under 300 subscribers. So it looks like there's a lot of people that are interested in having meaningful discussions. So I'm happy about that. Thank you, Arag. I think I said your name wrong, but thank you. Mick saying, I could go deep into my thoughts. Sorry, it just moved. Sometimes actually something I'm trying to be more aware of. That's a good awareness, Mick. So try not to have so much awareness on your thoughts as much as to bring it back to your heart. So focus on like the intention to be in your heart. And that will change the direction of your thoughts. If you practice that enough, you eventually will have your heart leading over your mind. That's where you want to get to. That's where I help my clients get to. That's where I've gotten to. And it's an evolution for sure. Mariah is saying, my dad just recently passed and I've seen him in my dreams. What does that mean? Mariah, I'm so sorry for your loss, and what a beautiful experience to see your father in your dreams. What do you think it means? I think it's often how we can commune with those who have passed through the thin veils of the astral realms. So that could be one thing. I know after my mom passed away, I had a very honest conversation with her to fix the situation that got messed up. And it was as if it was real life. So I think we can often work through situations in our dreams that we weren't able to do in the physical. But Mariah, I don't know. I'm not tapping into you energetically, so I can't say for sure. But oftentimes it's a beautiful way to find healing and love in your dreams. So that's beautiful for you. Hopefully it feels good. No, I did not draw that. Hannah says, what if you cry, but one day you cry and you don't, why I told my friend because she talked to her mom, but I'm scared. I don't understand what you're saying here, Hanya. Crying is okay in a conversation. It's okay. It's okay to have tears. Thank you, Mick. Yes, we're growing slowly here. I'm so glad I found your channel live streams. Thank you so much, Jono. Gabe, everybody loves the painting. Do you see my see my flowers? Frankie is saying not a religion practice if it's not good. I don't understand what you're saying there, Freaky. Kiana, Zoya is saying, Kiana, you are truly kind and beautiful person, radiating warmth and positivity wherever you go. Your heart is a gift to everyone around you, and your presence brings so much light. Well, thank you so much, Zoya. Thank you for seeing me. Not everybody sees me the same way you see me. But I appreciate you, Zoya, and I'm so glad you're here. I still want to do a video on fear of the unknown. That's the one that I didn't get to. Mariah says, my dad was my best friend more than my mom. He's the most important person in my life right now, and I don't know what to do anymore. Oh, Mariah, I'm so sorry. Well, first of all, your father may not be here in the physical, and I have a whole video on death and dying, but when people are important in our lives, they leave an imprint, okay? So that imprint never goes away. That imprint is on our heart when we have important relationships. So what I would suggest, Mariah, and I've said this to other people before who have come on here, is really what are the lessons that you need to learn from your father? Like from your entire life that you've known your dad, what lessons do you need to learn from him? Okay. Hello, Algeria. Tears for what? Marjorie, thank you for sharing your time, Kiana. Your EQ is both incredible and helpful. Oh, thank you, Marjorie. I will practice staying in my heart while speaking with my loved ones. Marjorie, you will heal so incredibly fast when you are in your heart. It will transcend timelines and it will transcend dimensions. And there is no doubt that the magnitude of love that's there for you is going to expand. So my thoughts and prayers are with you, Marjorie, during this time. I hope you found this helpful. R. Pitt is saying, what do you think about Hinduism? I don't think much. It's a religion. And I haven't studied it in depth since college, so I don't feel I could intelligently speak on that religion. But I don't really resonate with religions in general. That doesn't mean that, they're not good for some people. Rushi is saying, daily thinking, what's the use of this life? After not knowing what and where I am going, just a hindrance to all my loved ones' growth. Reason for their downfall. Well, that's really negative thinking there, The purpose for your life, for all of us, is to rise in consciousness, Rushi. So I would invite you to connect to your heart and to really talk with your heart about rising up in consciousness and ask for guidance. Hi, Salvo. Hi, Salvo. So good to see you. You need to move out of New York. Is that what you're saying? It is cold there? Hanya is saying, I never met my grandfather or my grandmother. Has always wanted to like the other guys. I don't know what you're saying. I remember I did cry for 3 hours. Whoa, that's a lot of tears. You must have definitely been processing. Zoya is saying, Kiana, you're a whirlwind of fun. Chaos and endless energy. Your vibrant spirit and ability to bring joy to every moment makes you unforgettable. I really enjoy your live streams. Thank you so much, Zoya. That's so kind of you. All the way from Saudi Arabia, right? Or is it Dubai? I can't remember. Thank you so much, Zoya. I appreciate you too, and I love your participation. Mick says, you recap what you sow, so start to live in the love and the light to that person, right? So we honor the relationships that we have by being our most authentic self, by being our most authentic expression as God would have it be. Source energy, creator, we're all here to rise up in consciousness, okay? And we can't do that through a constricted heart. So slowly but surely, we have to go into our hearts and really learn to communicate from that space. And that can be very difficult for some people. There's some relationships that go in an ebb and a flow, and we have to honor that as well. All right, y'all. Well, I've been on for almost 50 minutes. It's been a while since I've been here, and I'm so glad to be back. And this will be still the 366 video series where we have daily practices. So the daily practice for open discussions is definitely have awareness of your fears. Really do not be afraid to identify what your fears are. You cannot transmute or transcend your fears if you don't even acknowledge that you have them. Everybody has fears, and it's our responsibility to acknowledge and move through them and not let them dictate our lives, our relationships, our communication. And the other is, to the best of your ability, be present in your heart and speak truthfully and honestly from your heart. That means you're not giving opinions. That means you're speaking what's 100% your responsibility, and you're communicating that to others. Okay? All right, y'all. I'm just going to read what Zoya is saying here. Zoya says, one question, Kiana, you always ask everyone questions. So let me ask you, why are you so adorable, kind-hearted, and blissful? Your positive energy is truly inspiring. Well, that's a very nice question. And I'm taken back that you perceive me that way. Because obviously I perceive myself in other ways. So let me say this. I started these Being in Sync 366 video series to, number one, share about the natural laws, because I felt that most people were being misguided, misdirected, and taken away from developing a direct relationship with consciousness, conscious energy. And when I say that, I mean Christ consciousness, I mean unity consciousness, I mean God consciousness, source energy, creator. So that's one reason why I started this. I also started this series to hopefully have discussions with other people who cared about those things too. And and you're here. You know, this is not thousands of people on a live stream. This is, you know, a handful of us just really wanting to grow and expand. And I'm here for that. And I want to support that. I want to encourage it. And the other thing is I know as I was growing spiritually, I felt and found very inauthentic people who were what I would call imposters, that pretended to be something that they weren't. And they wanted to have all the answers when all the answers you're going to find within yourself. And I think that if there were more people that were guiding people back with simple practices to themselves, this world will be a greater place. And I'm just trying to do my best to support humanity in a way that I can. And I found that these YouTube lives are fun, and I love that I get to meet with people from all around the world that really want to grow in consciousness. And it's not about being perfect, it's about expanding, and I'm here for that. I've learned a lot from doing these live chats, and maybe in a couple weeks when I've gotten to the end, I'll share some of what I've learned. But I've learned that there's so much more in humanity than what we see on the news. And I think there's a lot of junk in these reels. And there's a lot of misinformation. And I just want to help people align more to their hearts to the best that I can. And for those of you who are interested in getting support in that way, I want you to know that I'm available for that. And I do this for a living. And I cut this time out of my schedule every day to be here, to be in service. And whether you come to me for a session or not, that's not what this is about. I'm happy to be in service for those of you who want more support. One-on-one sessions are far different than these live streams, and more meaningful. But I do the best I can here. So hopefully, Zoya, that answers that question. And yeah, thank you so much for asking that. Jono says, really helpful, Kiana. There are ebbs and flows for sure. Have a lovely day. Thank you, Jono. I'm very much toxic. What should I do? Go into nature, connect with the water, all the elements, earth, water, air, connect with the elements. Very inspiring topics, every live, endless wisdom. Can't wait for the books. Thank you, Jono. Thank you, Oliver. Hey, Dean, good to see you here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Oliver. Thank you, Oliver. I'm just going to pin that. Zoya, thank you for giving so much support. Thank you so much, Zoya. Thank you for the question. All right, you all, so I'll see you tomorrow. So good to be feeling good. And guess what tomorrow is? Tomorrow is my birthday. I don't know what the topic will be. Maybe, how do you celebrate yourself? Hug a tree, walk in the grass in your bare feet. Yes, good advice, Mick. Thank you. Thanks, y'all. See you tomorrow. Love you. Namaste. Bye.